Hello and welcome to episode 54 of the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast. Glad you are tuning in. So this episode, was basically done via a Facebook Live I did for my Facebook group. So I got a few questions in from the guys in the group and I thought I'd just do a live last week. So yeah, I think it helped a few people, so I thought I would just use it as a podcast episode. The questions which were asked were: what's the best muscle building workout to do when time is an issue? What supplements would you recommend for building muscle? When starting a transformation, should we focus on fat loss first or muscle growth or both? What's the most effective diet for fat loss? And yeah, that's it. So those questions were asked. I got them answered for you, and here it is as an episode on the podcast. So yeah, hope you enjoy it, hope it helps. And as always, please feel free to give this a share to your Instagram story. Give it a review on Spotify to help more people like yourself understand nutrition and training and to avoid the unnecessary confusion which is out there so much nowadays, unfortunately. And if you're interested in any of the coaching services I offer, then please get in contact, fill out the application form, and I will get back to you with the next steps. So here is the episode. Hope you enjoy, and I'll speak to you soon. Hello. Right. I'm going to do a quick live. I said I'll do one, and I thought I'd get it done nice and early. Why? Because I like to get things done. I've got a few questions I got in last week from you guys, so I thought I'd go through them. Just get them answers for you really nice and quick, so it shouldn't be too long. If you have any questions on the back of this, just again let me know, like pop them in the group or message me privately, up to you, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. So the first question I've got is, I won't name the names, I'm just going to go through the questions, give a quick answer, and go from there. So the first one is where is it? The best exercises for front delts. So front delts are these bits, they're the front obviously of your shoulders. So any pressing movements like pushing, pressing, same thing, will target your front delts. So I wouldn't really worry about specifics because things like bench press, shoulder press will target that specific area nicely anyway. But if you do want to do an exercise to isolate that area, then you can't go wrong with like front raises or something like that. Dumbbell front raise, barbell front raise, or a cable front raise, anything where you're basically raising up in front of your body essentially. So out of the three shoulder muscles, the front part is the most used because of bench press and all the other pressing and pushing movements you do, or people do. So that's it. Why aren't I losing weight? So this came off the back of the question and conversation we had last week. So the main reason why you or anyone isn't losing weight or isn't losing body fat is because you're not in a consistent calorie deficit. That is the simple, blunt answer essentially. It may feel frustrating in the sense that you think you are in a calorie deficit. So you think, well, you start questioning everything like, oh, well, I am in a deficit because I'm doing this and this and this. I'm just not losing weight because it must be to do with this and this and this. But it comes down to not being in a consistent energy deficit. So, which is kind of good news in a way, because you know that there is a solution to your problem of not losing weight. So it'll be, yes, things like menopause and hormone imbalances will have an effect, and it will make things a lot more challenging. but there is still a way. There are still ways around that. You still need to find a way for you to create and sustain a energy deficit. So hormones will, your metabolism will potentially slow down, or will be a lot slower than other people's, but there are ways around that. So you can increase your metabolism by just moving more. Moving is part of your metabolism. So just by getting more steps in, more activity during the day, standing up more than sitting down, for example. Eating more protein has a higher thermic effect. So your body will again, part of your metabolism or your total daily energy expenditure is the thermic effect of food. So if you eat more protein, your body will use more calories or energy to digest the protein, so thus increasing part of your metabolism. So increasing your protein intake will help increase metabolism. Increasing muscle tissue again will increase your BMR, which is again a massive part of your metabolism. So that's why strength training, weight training, and building muscle is so important when it comes to losing body fat, because it will increase your metabolism, not by huge amounts, but slightly. It will help towards it. Things like increasing vegetable intake will help you keep or stay fuller for longer. And obviously vegetables have low amounts of calories and hold lots of nutrients, so it will help with not only satiating you, but it will help with keeping you healthy, essentially. So that's the sort of energy output. And then in terms of decreasing your calorie intake, then again, more vegetables, more protein, because protein helps you feel fuller for longer, and reducing the amount of alcohol you're consuming, reducing the amount of ultra-processed foods, highly palatable foods you're consuming. It's just a case of doing all these things until you create and sustain a calorie deficit. And when you are in a deficit, because then your scales will start to reduce or decrease gradually. So weighing yourself every day and taking the average at the end of the week is a good way of knowing that you are losing body fat, basically. So next one, what supplements would you recommend for muscle building? There's only 3 I'd recommend, really. The first one, main one, will be creatine monohydrate, 3 to 5 grams every single day. And this is for everyone. I'd recommend it for literally everyone. It helps with brain health, helps with muscle growth, strength, and energy as well. So creatine monohydrate is the only creatine you need. 3 to 5 grams every single day. You don't need to load it. You don't need to do all that stuff. Very easy. It's cheap. It's very well researched. It's safe, and it's very, very effective. Next one would be whey protein. If you need to increase your protein intake, then just having a basic whey protein will do that. I'd only recommend that if you struggle to get your daily protein in anyway. But again, it's convenient, it's cheap, it's easy. It's a very easy way for you to increase your protein intake. It's best to get it from foods like lean meat and fish, but if you need to increase your protein, then do that. And probably the third one is probably caffeine. Caffeine is again very, very safe. It's well researched, very good for focus and energy. Helps increase power output and strength. So it will help towards you getting a more effective workout done, which could lead to muscle growth, increased muscle growth, strength, and performance. Just make sure that because obviously it's different for everyone, make sure you cut caffeine, I reckon, around 2 p.m. Anything after that, because caffeine's got quite a long half-life, so it could disrupt your sleep, and you need sleep to build muscle and to be healthy, like mentally and physically, basically. So caffeine's a good one. Just don't have too much of it. Around like, I don't know, 150, 200 milligrams, 250 max per day, depending on the person. Next one, when starting a transformation, how do you know if you should focus on fat loss first or muscle growth first? So this depends on you, depends on the person. If you are holding on, if you haven't got much muscle tissue and you're fairly skinny looking, so not much body fat, not much muscle tissue, skinny like I was when I first started, then your focus should be muscle growth. So you lift weights, obviously in the gym to try and to get stronger, to build muscle, but you create a calorie surplus, or essentially just try and eat more protein, eat more food, try and find out your maintenance calories and add about 200 calories to that, and then track your food, create a small calorie surplus, and that will put you in a good environment to build muscle tissue, to put on some weight, basically. That's your focus. If you're skinny, your focus is gaining weight, calorie surplus, building muscle. If you're holding on to a bit too much body fat, and you will know if you're holding on to too much body fat or not. And a good way to know is if you were to gain 5-10 pounds, would you be comfortable with that? If not, then you need to focus on fat loss first. Training stays the same. So in the gym, lifting weights 2, 3, 4 times a week to get stronger, build muscle. But instead of calorie surplus, you would create a calorie deficit. So find out your rough maintenance calories and take off 300 to 500 from that number. And you just track your food, making sure you don't go over your daily or weekly calorie budget. And that's you creating a calorie deficit to lose body fat. So that's your main focus is fat loss. If you're somewhere in the middle, so if you're holding on to a bit too much belly fat and you haven't got much muscle tissue, so a good way to know this, if you pressed somewhere on your body and it was like spongy, then you may need to body recomp, and that's just essentially the same thing in the gym, always the same thing. But just go to maintenance calories, find out your maintenance calories, and eat around maintenance while building or trying to build muscle. That way, you should build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, and that's the best of both worlds. So if you can do that, that's awesome. You're in a good place. Second from last one, what's the most effective diet for fat loss? There isn't most effective diet for fat loss. You don't even have to follow a diet to lose fat. You just have to, again, create a calorie deficit through some form of caloric restriction. So all diets do is help you create and sustain a calorie deficit. It's not the diet itself, it's the fact that each diet will restrict calories and helps you create and sustain a calorie deficit. So if following a specific diet like keto or paleo or intermittent fasting will help you adhere to a calorie deficit, then that's the best one for you. I just wouldn't recommend following a diet for too long because it's just unsustainable. It's not a very good way to live because it will sort of disrupt your social life. So the best way to do it is just track your food, make sure you don't go over your calories too often, and don't necessarily follow a diet as such, but you still need to restrict your calories somehow, So there isn't a most effective diet for fat loss, but there may be a best one for you and your lifestyle. So it's a case of just trying to follow a diet, and if that works best for you, then that's the best one for you. If it doesn't work, then change it. Try something else. Move on to a different one. Or just don't follow a diet at all. Just like I said, just restrict your calories through tracking your food consistently, and then that should be enough. So yeah, in summary, there isn't a best one. It's like there isn't a best exercise for muscle growth necessarily. There are better and worse ones, but there's not a best one. Final one, the best kind of workout when one doesn't have much time. So this is a thing. You don't have to be in the gym. You don't have to train as much as you think to build muscle tissue to get great results. You only need to do a handful, like around 5 to 6 sets per week on each muscle group to build muscle tissue. So you don't have to go to the gym 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. You can literally go to the gym once or twice a week, which is a good start, right? And each major muscle group has to be put through around, like I said, around 5 to 8 sets per week for you to see the majority of your growth, muscle growth. So what I would do is just stick to full body, like 1 to 2 full body workouts every single week. If you can only do one once a week, then do 1. If you can get away with doing 2, then do 2. So full body workouts is your best bet. Go through the 6 planes of movement, the main planes of movement in each workout. So you've got squat movement, hip hinge, vertical push-pull, and a horizontal push-pull. That's six movements. And then just incorporate exercises which mimic those movements while moving load, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, cables, or machines. Just use that to incorporate these sort of movements. So an example could be a leg press for quads and glutes, a Romanian deadlift for lower back, glutes and hamstrings, chest press for chest, shoulders and triceps, seated row for back and biceps, overhead press or shoulder press for shoulders and triceps, and a lat pull down for back and biceps. So these very basic movements have just targeted every single muscle group in your body, apart from calves really, but who needs calves? If you do that literally once, twice a week with around 3 to 5 sets, hard sets in each movement, then that's going to give you pretty decent growth. Each of those sets need to go to very near failure for you to get enough effective reps out to elicit muscle growth. Make sure these movements are, like I said, compound exercises, and they're bilateral movements, not unilateral movements. So bilateral movements are things like using 2 limbs at the same time. If you're doing unilateral movements, then you're basically doing you're doing double the amount of work, and it takes double the amount of time. So stick to bilateral movements. Incorporate supersets, and that's going to literally halve your workout time, in that session. So like upper lower supersets or push pull supersets. So for example, a chest press straight into a seated row, and keeping your rest times to a minimum, around 60 seconds to 90 seconds between each superset. Another good tip. And you can incorporate drop sets as well. So a drop set would be, again, let's say chest press. You do a chest press set to failure. You rest for 15 seconds. You take the weight down and then you go again until failure. That's a drop set. Or you can incorporate what's called myo reps or rest pause sets, where you do a set to failure, you rest for 10-15 seconds and you go again to failure. It's just adding more volume, more effective reps to your workout, because muscle growth is all about putting your muscles through tension, right? Short rest periods, gone through that. But yeah, that's it. That's basically how you would incorporate effective workouts in a busy week. You just do 1 or 2 a week. I'm just going to summarize. 1 or 2 a week, full body workouts, focus on the 6 main planes of movement. around 5 to 6, whatever you can do, sets per week, per muscle group. Go to pretty much failure on every single one of those sets. Focus on compound exercises and bilateral movements. Incorporate supersets and drop sets into your workout to help with adding more volume into those sessions, and keep rest periods to a minimum 60 seconds to 90 seconds between each superset if you're going to do supersets. And that is it in terms of questions. So yeah, hope that helps a little bit. That's it, I'm going to go now. So any questions on any of those, let me know and I'll get back to you. You can use the chat or you can use the group. Up to you, or you can comment below, wherever you feel most comfortable doing. Anyway, have a good bank holiday and I'll speak to you soon.